By now, are you sick of hearing about AI and how it will either lead to limitless bounty or a techno-feudal society? Either James T. Kirk or the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen? Well, I'm not here to answer that, but I will attempt to show you how it can aid us in one of the most important endeavors, whipping up a wargame scenario on the fly. So let's start with the most forgiving of scenarios, a skirmish action, set in Spain, 1809. For rules, we'll use Fistful of Lead, bigger battles. Now to make this interesting, we're going to actually play this scenario on the table, looking for where ChatGPT delivers and where it falls short. Come on now, let's get started.
At Little Wars TV, we're exploring how generative AI might fit into the wargaming hobby. We think it's a neat tool for brainstorming, tinkering with scenario ideas, or sparking creativity at home. In that sense, AI is just another gadget in the hobbyist's toolbox, like terrain, dice, or an unhealthy stack of unpainted lead. We're not endorsing the misuse of AI by commercial publishers. This is about your personal play with friends, not sliding AI slop into published products. And don't worry, Little Wars TV does not use AI to make our own content. If we did, the jokes would be funny and the video editing wouldn't take us 3 months. But actually, funny story, I asked ChatGPT to write that entire disclaimer for me. It even asked if I wanted it to punch up the humor with a quick jab about AI not being able to paint miniatures or write Osprey titles. That's actually kind of funny. But seriously, we do know that AI is a really hot topic in a lot of industries, including our own little corner of the hobby world. If you'd like to see some of our guys pour a scotch and sit down sometime to talk about the challenges and bigger picture questions around AI and wargaming, let us know in the comments. In the meantime, let's dive into one very specific way you might try experimenting with AI tools at home.
First thing I want to do is open up ChatGPT, and you may have access to different levels of it, but most of them work pretty well. They just may limit how many times you can ask a question of it. So let's start. The latest chat model is ChatGPT 5. It's quite good. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit with a new chat, right? So here we go. What can I help you with? I've already got a little query preloaded here. Please prepare a wargame scenario based in or around Talavera, Spain during the 1809 battle and the campaign around it. So that's our setting. And let's see what we get back. Simple click here. Okay. It's coming back pretty quickly. It's got the dates in there. It's giving us an option on rule sets. We can fine tune it. Okay. So, it's given us something pretty quickly. And not surprisingly, it's got Wellesley and British, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm going to need something a little bit more fine-tuned to the forces I have on hand, which are going to be French and Spanish guerrillas. I picked those up from Eureka a while back, finally got them on the table, and we used this scenario to do so. So, again, it gives you lots of details here, Allied forces, battalions, some ratings. You can see 3 line infantry battalions, stubborn, steady, skirmisher bonus. Now, depending which rule set you have, that may be an exact match of the attributes, or you may have to fudge it. And we can also find ways to dial that in a little bit. You can see it's come up with special rules, objectives, victory conditions. So this is great off the bat. And if I had these forces, I might say, okay, let's do that. I would probably like a little bit bigger units for the game. But so let's go back and say, great, let's build on this. Okay, we've submitted that, coming right back. It likes it. So that's always nice how confirming these things are. So scenario, cutting the lifeline. After the battle, French forces under King Joseph and Marshal Victor had to retreat north and regroup. The supply lines already stretched thin under constant threat from Spanish guerrilla bands. Guerrillas often ambush convoys. Great. This is looking pretty usable. We've got the French entry point, road, 8 infantry units line, 1 cavalry unit, scouting, countercharges, supply chain. Good. That's not too bad. It even kicks up some wolves. Ambush at the start. Guerrillas may keep up to half their units off the table. That's appropriate. Cavalry gets some bonus. Guerrilla morale. sometimes you have to test these things, but, it's basically saying if the guerrilla morale drops a certain amount, they're going to skedaddle. Optional twist. I like this. That's one of the things I do find about these LLMs, these large language models, and particularly as I've done a few of these, they're quite good at coming up with, these twist ideas. So, take it for what it's worth, but it's some good ideation. And look, the best use case of this is, hey, it's Saturday and we're playing at the club on Monday night, and I'd rather not spend my Sunday figuring this out. I'm going to have ChatGPT whip it up. And when I say ChatGPT, you could use Claude, you could use Google's Gemini, you name it. But anyway, this is a quick way to get stuff on the table. So here we go. They've given us this. I like all that. They're offering to do it as a linked mini campaign, which I may come back to. That may be useful. But here I'm going to try something that usually doesn't work, but we'll see. These things evolve every few months, and so maybe it's gotten a bit better. I'm going to ask it for a map. Oh, look at that. That's not bad at all. I mean, I could see room for improvement, but I like it. This is actually one of the better examples I've seen and very quickly done. Okay, see what I'm doing here. One of the things I often find it challenging, and you'll notice this if you look at some of my Wargames history, is I end up reusing a lot of names because always in the push, you want that extra flavor, but at the same time, coming up with something novel. So this is actually, if there was one takeaway you took from Chad, it's give me some names for some commanders and make it seem, real. Okay, here it comes. I hope it's not Colonel Jean-Baptiste Delaroche. Oh, they're giving us a little backstory here. That's nice, too. Very good. Okay, we've got the 3 French, good flavor for each of them. And then the Spanish Comandante, Captain, and Padre Tomas Herrera, the fighting priest. Excellent. So here they go. They're already prompting us. Would you like to add personality traits, tabletop effects for each commander? Yeah, I mean, they're reading my mind here. That's exactly what the priest should do. He should boost morale. Maybe find a way, in the rules for Fistful of Lead, you can restore units, find your stragglers. Maybe he's better at that. Let's see what it offers. Okay. So, I know we talked about Fistful of Lead, bigger battles, and I didn't really prompt it for that. It's kind of generically creating these that you could apply to anything. We can see what happens when we say, hey, just make it about that rule set. But for right now, these could easily work for it. So trait, stern professional, once per turn may reroll 1 failed order, morale test. That's great. Overly rigid, cavalry within 12 do not benefit. Distrust. That's an interesting take. I don't know that I'd keep all of these because, frankly, one of the things I notice in these games, depending on how many people are playing, is everybody forgets what attributes their units have until after the fact. So anyway, these look pretty good. Commandante, okay, the Padre, Divine Inspiration. Once per game, all guerrilla units within 12 automatically pass morale. Great. Additional effect, Religious Zeal. I will not retreat. Will we fight to the last man? Okay. Oh, look at this. They're offering to format these into ready-to-print commander cards. You know what? I'm going to try that. I tried this in a previous version, and it was okay, but it wasn't, say, printer ready. So we'll see how well it does with these. Now, again, depending on what level of access you've subscribed, either free or other, for these chats, you may find that you get limited. That's usually how it happens. You get rate limited, either the number of requests you can make, or in this case, the number of images. Seems appropriately Gallic. Okay. I don't know that I'm going to do it for everyone here, but you can see that could be an option for you. This is where a lot of people start to bristle with AI, right? I've seen a lot of the image stuff online. This one, where it's obviously AI slop and it's a bit overdone sometimes, but frankly, just, it's fun to see what they do, and sometimes they're usable. I take the case of the map. I think that's a fine map, or at least it's one I'd start with to create a better one. Okay, so far we've got our scenario, we've got some attributes, we've got commanders. Here's where I'm going to play around. I'll say, now here's the challenge. So these models know a lot about the web and the world. They've sucked up a lot of information. If they've not actually, and I suspect out there, they've come across some of these rules in PDF forms or wherever they exist, or just in conversations they can deduce it. But there are situations where you could give it the rule set, but then you run into some copyright issues, right? And if you keep it local in your machine, you can probably get around that. But one thing I have done is, instead of giving it the rules, I might give it a set of attributes that I want, my own fine tuning of them that I want it to use. And you can even ask it to roll for a character. But let's try this. Let's say, take the scenario and make it Fistful of Lead specific. Let's see if anything really changes there. Okay, it's not put off by that. It's going to align the traits and scenario structure with the activation morale and unit profile. This is where, I'll be honest, my experience with this, and I suspect it's still here, is it's without a clear copy of the rules, or at least the parts of the rules you wanted to know. It'll tend to make up some things, and it'll make up them, across, they'll all make sense. And they might make sense within sharp practice or Fistful of Lead, so forth. But you may have to tweak those, or you may just go with them. The question is, will they make sense within the specific rules? Fistful of Lead, Bigger Battles is like sharp practice, card driven, but it's different type of card. It's offering to do more, and I'm going to skip that, because one of the things I want to do, and I usually do with these types of approaches, is just challenge the historicity of it. Okay, what I'm looking for is, in this case, historical plausibility. So here we go. They claim it's well-grounded in a historical precedent. A guerrilla attacks on the Spanish supply lines were commonplace. Yes, that's true. They give us some Wikipedia sources, some great quotes. Let's try a little bit more. So here it goes. So they're saying the scenario mirrors the exact kind of logistical vulnerability. True, can't argue with that. They claim here that during the Talavera campaign is historically plausible. They were not decisive in the set-piece battle, of course, but their actions contributed to the broader strain. Okay, so I think they're close. I'll take another twist at this when we ask for some historical units. Okay, so they came up with some infantry battalions. These are the types of things that you could cross-check. I can already see that they're being a little too general. And I'm not sure I really want 8 different battalions. Yeah, and then down in the Spanish guerrillas, again, it gets to the fact that it gives you some names of the bands, but whether they were actually in the area is questionable. But here they go. They're going to tell us why these names fit. French units listed above are documented as fighting at Talavera. Victor's divisions, the guerrilla leaders, were active in central northern Spain. Okay. But back to what we've been doing here. So as you can see, you could keep going down the rabbit hole with this in terms of how much detail you want to provide. Our goal was to do it quickly. And as you can see, you could actually get pretty far in about 5-10 minutes and then continue to adjust it. But, it really shines here in these quick, let me get something on the table without spending, half my afternoon doing it. And again, for me, its ability to make up names and make them plausible is worth it just for that. So I'll end it there. All right, now let's put our ChatGPT scenario to the test and see how it actually plays on the tabletop. Will it work? Is it fun? How could it be improved? Let's set it up and find out.
So kind of looking at the field, obviously as a Spanish player, my troops understand this terrain or whatever, and we're looking at the way it's set up. I'm trying to use the ambushes to coordinate, because I know the French overall are more effective than me because they're going to be regulars and I'm irregular. So I need to use the ambushes to coordinate attacks where I can. And that may mean delaying bringing units on so that I still have units that can be activated as ambushers. And if I try to bring them all at one time, I know there's going to be a temptation to do that, but it's better to leave a few off so that I can still utilize the ambushes, hopefully to some effect.
In addition to placing 3 ambush locations on the table, Chow secretly designates off-table entry points for his remaining units. He could have placed even more ambush locations, but in the scenario, ambushes have to be triggered with a die roll. So Chow has opted for a mix of on-table ambushes and off-table arrivals, which do not require a roll. This way he can be assured most of his units will arrive on time, even if they are farther away from the French supply convoy. Speaking of the French, Colonel Delaroche's plan is to screen his left and make his main push on the right, avoiding the 2 walled villas that could serve as Spanish strongpoints. It's a direct and sensible plan, and one that immediately trips Chow's first ambush location, which automatically reveals a Spanish guerrilla unit. A sharp firefight breaks out in the field, delaying the French advance. On turn 2, determined to sweep the rabble from the field, Ed plays an ace to ensure one of his units might activate first. In the rules Fistful of Lead, Bigger Battles, players are dealt 1 poker card per unit under their command. High cards go first in the turn order, and playing an ace helps the French scatter the guerrillas with a volley of musketry, followed by a bayonet charge. Aces are wild, and so can be used at any point in the sequence. To put some pressure on the French flank, Chow attempts to trigger his second ambush with a die roll.
Let's try to trigger this ambush over here.
Okay.
There's nothing special with the 9, right?
Right. So you just need a 5 or better.
Okay, within 3, just barely. That would be a no. Back to you, Edward.
Does that mean it's a failed ambush?
Actually, it's a failed ambush, so your unit comes on the board. It's just,
Oh.
it's a full move back from there.
Oh.
The ambush mechanics in this scenario were designed by ChatGPT, and I have to say they worked remarkably well. Failing an ambush roll still results in the guerrillas deploying on the table, but further back than Chow hoped. Desperately seeking a way to regain some initiative, Chow brings in one of his veteran units from the bottom table edge, rushing them forward at the double to threaten the supply convoy. With so much strength concentrated above the road, the convoy is vulnerable from this direction, and that's exactly what Chow is banking on. Ed has no choice but to divert another unit to defend the wagons. Over the next 2 turns, Chow keeps bringing more pressure below the road, and Ed keeps diverting more forces until, by turn 5, the original French battle plan has been entirely abandoned. Chow has successfully slowed the French convoy, but he's not the only one with a trick up his sleeve. The scenario designed by ChatGPT included a small cavalry troop riding out to meet the convoy and provide an escort. French hussars appear on the far table edge behind the Spanish. Except, oh wait, did you forget about the last ambush token?
Right here, in the tree line. So I can shoot, right, to get a full activation because the ambush is successful. Now I don't want to see it cry, but boy, it'd be nice to blast that cav unit right off the table immediately.
Not too bad.
3 kills, 2 shot, right?
All the horses.
Yeah, that's fine.
The guerrillas hiding in the woods along the road blast the French cavalry and drive them back with losses. In Fistful of Lead Bigger Battles, each figure in a unit rolls a die looking for an 8 or better at long range, or 5 or better at short range. Depending on their quality, a unit either rolls D8s, D10s, or D12s. There are a few modifiers to the roll, but then your successful hits are then re-rolled to wound. And as you can see, that can result in no effect, shock for the unit, or casualties. Shock is a game concept you see in many systems, and accumulating it reduces movement speed, firepower, and effectiveness in close combat. Shock can be recovered with a successful rally action. Your odds of rallying are based on unit quality and any special unit traits. In today's order of battle, you'll notice that ChatGPT assigns some common traits from the rules to various units. Chow's first unit is cool-headed and rated with skirmish. But here's one of the funny quirks about using AI to write your scenarios. Look at Ed's French order of battle. His first unit has almost the exact same traits. And hey, look at the second unit for each force, matching traits again. This is a good example of why you would want to go back and do some refinement to an AI-generated scenario. I manually adjusted some of the unit traits myself, and you may recall I prompted ChatGPT to add a priest character. Padre Tomas Herrera, the fighting priest, has an ability to auto-rally guerrilla units within 12 inches once per game. It's a very cool touch, and this kind of flavor works well with Fistful of Lead bigger battles, which includes rules for leaders, minor characters, and heroes. Back on the tabletop, it's turn 6, and the Spanish are feeling pretty good about their chances. Ed knows he needs to make a big move, and he decides to shift his focus back above the road to his original plan. Some battered Spanish units are lurking about in this area, and the French infantry make quick work of them with the bayonet, tearing open a hole in the Spanish position. But without also clearing the southern side of the road, Ed can't shield the supply wagons from Chow's guerrillas.
And 3 hits result in 2 kills.
Okay, there you go.
And now he has to reroute.
This scenario lasts up to 8 turns, and on turn 8, Ed concedes defeat. The French will have to turn back after finding this supply route blocked. Based on the length of the table, we all agreed after the game that ChatGPT probably should have allowed 10 turns or maybe a smaller table to start. So overall, what do I think about this process and using ChatGPT for this scenario? I thought it was great, honestly. Again, it's a skirmish scenario, so there's some room for historical plausibility, but, details matter in these things. And frankly, that's sometimes what I struggle with when I run out of time before the next club night and I want to get something on the table, and I wish I had just beefed up the flavor a bit more. So one, I certainly thought Chat shined in that way. 2, it really does understand a lot about gaming. If you ask any questions of Chat in terms of this scenario or others, it's digested a lot of rules, and it certainly understands what makes games interesting. I think it's demonstrated that, pretty conclusively. You have to poke it on historical side, but even there you can help get it closer over the target. So, this is something I certainly have been using and I plan to continue using. And I have to say, just in the amount of time I've been doing it, the output has gotten tremendously better, both in terms of the verbal interaction and then the graphics. I thought the map was very good. Now, we've used ChatGPT for this, but you could use Gemini or Claude. They're all quite robust in this area. I found Gemini to be very useful, compared to Chat. So, it depends on which one you have access to, but you shouldn't have any trouble getting some value out of the use of Chat generically for wargame design. So thanks for joining us. Please leave comments below on either your experience using AI for this purpose or what you'd like to see us try. Thanks.